Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it? You already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye. In a menudo style in direct fashion, we're going to get straight into the content of the day. But before we do, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support. We're continuing to go up on this channel, and it's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled, man. And even more so, thank you. Thank you a lot, right? So, is it true? Say it ain't so, right? There's a lot to decipher right here. You know, in most cases, people spill the tea. But I think Rico Too Smoove has spilled the syrup, right? And maybe not in that order, but trip out on this. So there's a podcast that's going around that is for the homies. When I say the homies, I mean Northern California norteños, right? Northerners. And this particular podcast, I feel is long overdue. And it's given a voice to the voiceless. You know, norteños necessarily would have never went, you know, on camera, period, back in the past. But nowadays in the social media era, everybody is. So why not? Why not? If you know what to say and what not to say, and if you're not speaking on prison politics or speaking on certain things that, you know, due to regulations and rules and politics, period, that you can't speak on, why not do a podcast to promote your music, to get your expression and your word out there, man? It's a great thing. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I'm glad the norteños have finally decided to enter social media and make their presence felt and known. Now, I'm not saying they're not known. They're known without having to have a presence, just because their presence has always been respected. You know, the very militant ways in that they move. So, having known a lot about the norteño movement from the past, I see that it's very different in the future and now. You know, Rico Too Smoove is one of the voices for Northern California rap. He's a rapper from the Sacramento area that has been making noise for a while, and I've seen his progression and his elevation in his game. Advancement demands change, and he's definitely changed the game, and his name's starting to be more saturated into the Northern California music. Now, when you're considered an active gang member or someone who's a participant of street activities, you know, it's a thin line to go on podcasts or promote your music or show up or pull up to concerts when you have to always constantly look over your shoulders or wonder what's in front of you, what's coming. You know, with lately, a lot of Northern California and Southern California rappers have been blowing up. Lazy Boy from San Jose, Rico Too Smoove, GB, Acito. All these Northern California rappers have been making noise and a name for themselves, whether it be on social media, involved in altercations, taking them fade one-on-ones, sitting down on podcasts, pulling up to No Jumper. Whatever the case may be, they're doing what they have to do to make people understand and know exactly what it is that they're pushing. Now, in Southern California, there's always been that core and that base of rappers that have popularized, you know, Southern California Chicano rap. And now, even more so than any time, am I seeing them as popular as they could be. You know, you got people like Rowdy Rax and Little Weirdo and Young Dopey and so many others. But I think the most popular one at this point is Lefty Gunplay. You know, he talks his way into situations. But lately, you know, I got to tip my hat to him and give him a lot of respect. He's been pretty respectful in his willings and dealings on these podcasts and pushing his narrative, and hasn't said too much in regards to disrespect. Now, disrespect goes both ways. If you talk to someone from Southern California, especially a gang member, he's going to say the norteño rappers constantly disrespect the sur, constantly disrespect down south. And that's why they feel some type of way. They feel like the Northern California rappers have a chip on their shoulders. Now, I'm not going to deny that or say that ain't the truth. But I think in retrospect, when you really look at it, their common enemy is the South. So there's always going to be a distaste and a bitterness when it comes to the upstaters or willings and dealings with Sureño rappers. When it comes to Southern California, they're on some whole different shit. But lately, they have been jumping into that conversation. People like Bozo and Lefty Gunplay, and have disrespected the norteño cause as a whole. Now, you call that tit for tat. You know, you can't say one people doing it is bad when the other people doing it have been getting away with it for a long time. So there's going to be disrespect. There's going to be back and forth. But as long as nobody's dying in the streets behind the music, no one's dying in the streets behind these frivolous words, then it's all fair game. It is what it is. Hey, all promotion is good promotion. If that's what's going to make people tune in, turn up, and talk about it, then it is what it is. So when Lefty Gunplay was interviewed, I think it was on No Jumper, or even prior to No Jumper, he had some things to say about Northern California. And a few of the things that he said was he would never, ever work with Norteño artists just based on the fact that's them and that's him. He's from down there, they're from up there, and there should be no correlation or collaboration. He could do and make his music and make his moves without a Norteño presence or without having to do a collaboration. Now, in the rap game, in the music game, when there's two artists or two genres of music that are pumping and bumping, these people have the intelligence enough to understand that the bag is even bigger at the end, you know, of that road if you guys can come together and kind of collab. You know, I've seen it happen in country and rock music, rap music, hip hop, R&B. You know, people come together, people you never thought you'd see, because they're of an understanding that not only is it their music and their art, but even more so than that, it's a business. It's all about promotion and money. You know, and I think these rappers understand that, but being aligned with street gangs and barrios and even prison gangs, it's hard to let that go, or it's hard to do what you really want to do in your heart, because there's someone you have to answer to. You have to answer to another grown man, and maybe he's not feeling that. And maybe he's already told you, or you're of an understanding that you're going to look a certain way to your barrio. According to Bozo, the rapper, how would it look if a Sureño or a Southsider decided to do a collaboration with a Norteño? He has to go back to his barrio and face the music, and he's going to look a certain way. Now, I don't think that's the truth. I don't think his homeboys are even going to trip. Any real homeboys or camaradas would be like, hey, bro, get your bag, get your money. If that's what it's going to take, Holmes, if that's what's going to fucking get you popping, do your thing, homie. It's not like you're sitting there breaking bread, eating with the vato. I'm not saying they don't do that in prison, right? But it's not like, you know, there's not a lot going on there. So, hey, get your money. We understand where you're coming from. You guys ain't best friends, homes, but you have to do what you have to do. Even with the opposition, it's all about respect. And if you could respect them vatos, you know, I'm sure if the respect is reciprocated, then it is what it is, right? That's it. So Lefty Gunplay has disrespected the North as a whole many times over, and has said basically he's not going to work with them ever. He won't even go to Northern California and do concerts and all that, just based on he doesn't want nothing to do with the Norte. That's understandable, but for someone who just got done doing 9 to 10 years, who functioned on yards within the end of hostilities with Norteños, that's kind of a different look or a different mentality you would think he would come out with. He doesn't have to do collabs with Norteños, and if he doesn't want to be the one to break that ground, to open up that door, that's absolutely understandable. He doesn't have to be. But when you're an innovator, an entrepreneur, and you're someone that's really making moves, and someone that's looked at or claims to be the face of LA, the face of Southern California rap, the certified stepper, the real certified, most famous, world's famous gangbanger, right? Those are a whole bunch of labels that you don't want the feds to know that you have, right? But when you are basically declaring your dominance over a certain area of California and that you're him, then it's up to you to open up doors. It's up to you to do groundbreaking things and make groundbreaking moves. Because after a while, that old hand gesture and the same old rapping over different people's beats is going to become old. And your 15 minutes of fame and your candle's going to blow out. That's what happens. And the same thing goes for Northern California rappers. If you don't keep it relevant, if you don't keep it popping, you don't keep your name out there, people are going to get tired of hearing about the same old disrespect and the same old gang memberships and the same old audios and streets and upping poles and pulling up and all that. That shit gets old after a while. It might not get old in the immediate, but in the after it does, definitely. So I'm not condoning the disrespect on either side, because I know it happens. Nobody, I said, is above anyone else. Everybody does it. I'm not defending no side. I don't pick and choose sides. But one thing I am defending is the progress and the progression of the people, right? I hope everybody on every side could come up. So with that being said, Lefty has disrespected Northern California. I'm sure Rico Too Smoove has disrespected Southern California in some of his music as well. And both these artists are blowing up. Both these guys are really making moves and making them power moves in shower shoes and opening up doors for their gente. But you have to understand, we're all raza everyone's brown. Everyone eats tortillas. So, you know, if you could find a way like the brothers do, like the blacks do, and that's one thing I got to respect about the brothers, you know, they'll put the bullshit and the guerra and all that to the side, man, and make good music and make a whole lot of good money. They figured it out. They understand that when it comes to their people, the brothers, right, that there's things that matter more than frivolous street gang activities and being told, you know, that they can't when they really can. The yes, I can movement. Yes, they can, right? And they really get that on, right? And that's why the brothers are respected and looked at a certain way. Whereas in Mexicans, Chicanos, we're still 10 steps behind because we keep ourselves stuck in the mud. We like to walk in mud rather than sand. You know, we like to take the rocky road rather than the payday. You know what I mean? If you feel me, you know, that's pure wordplay, right? Knowledge you can't get in college, but trip out on this. So Rico goes on this podcast. My ear itches. I must be getting some money. Either that or my baby's mama's going to call me and ask me for money. Probably the second door. So anyways, Rico Smoove goes on this podcast, this what is considered an active Norteño podcast, and says that prior to Lefty Gunplay blowing up and becoming what he is now, what he has looked to be, he actually reached out to Rico Smoove to do a collaboration and wanted to get put on by Rico. Rico's been doing it, I guess, a lot longer than Lefty. Don't get it twisted. Lefty Gunplay has been making music, but he had that stint in prison, that 10, 9, 13, 11-year stint that he constantly talks about. And within doing that, he kind of lost his way. He had a function right there according to that 4-yard, the prison politics, and everything else goes on the back burner. Your music career, your family, your old lady, everything goes on the back burner, and you have to focus on what's in front of you because you can get metal put in you and your life could end that fast on a prison yard. And those that understand, you know, it's serious. It's no games. It's serious business. You know, all that other shit is secondary. So anyways, when he did get out and got right back into the music scene and was able to somehow sign deals, catch the attention of whoever he needed to catch the attention of, whether it was the tattoos, the look, the way he acted, he blew up. Ain't no issue, ain't no problems with that. He is the rookie of the year. Well, meanwhile, Rico Smoove has been doing it in Northern California, also blowing up at a fast pace, skyrocketing and coming up. He is basically kind of the face of Northern California rap at this point. And that's respected, man. That's respected. I like that he is, and a lot of people consider him black, but from what I heard, you know, he's Latino and he does have, you know, Africano blood. That's great. That is the perfect definition of what Northern California is. A coming together of everybody, man, regardless of color, pigmentation, race, whatever spin you want to put on it. And to let you know that the Norteño movement accepts all those that are worthy of the cause, no matter what you are, right? As long as you're fucking not shot out and you're worthy, there you go. So Rico's doing his thing, but when Rico goes on his podcast, he says Lefty wanted to collab and work with them. Houston, we have some problems. And here's the problem, or the issue. Not really a problem, but an issue. Lefty Gunplay is basically saying he cannot work with Norteños. He refuses to work with Norteños. Not because he's being told that, but because that's how he feels. That's his sentiments on the fucking issue. That's how he's laced up and educated, that the other side basically is second fiddle to his horn. That he ain't going to never bow down to the North in any form or fashion. That he's going to continue, and he doesn't need Northern California fans or Northern California rappers in his way to do what he's got to do. Okay, you can say whatever you want, and that's understandable. But at the same time, Rico Smoove is saying something different. He's exposing the truth. And the fact of the matter is this: when you're in the industry, whether it be social media, acting, comedy, rapping, whatever it is, a lot of people talk behind the scenes. You would be surprised. You people would be surprised with some of the active gang members and some of the people in the industry that I talk to on the daily, on the phone, behind the scenes. And I respect their confidentiality and I respect their get down, but I also respect them as men being able to have that conversation with me regardless of status within prison or status within the gang. See, we're on men time and our energy projects that. So we have conversation that's going to help us both make lucrative transactions and make business moves. We don't sit there and talk about other gente and disrespect other gente behind their backs and talk the drama and the he said, she said. We get straight to the point of getting the bag. We get straight to the point of trying to help each other obtain things, information that's going to help us come up, straight up. Whether it's for self-preservation or for simply getting a bag, man, we're doing that. You guys would be surprised. So I'm sure there's a lot of these guys in the industry that are still considered active or in good standings within their gang that also have conversations. I'm sure it happens all the time. You just wouldn't think it or know it because of the fucking image or the character or the role that they play in front of the camera. People are different people in front of the camera rather than who they really are in real life. It's just the truth. Something happens when the camera turns on, the bright lights. You feel like you have to put a facade on. You feel like you have to play a role or you have to play prison. You know, be yourself. Stop playing prison. That's why I got that in the background, so that you understand and know people in the prison genre on YouTube play prison rather than, you know, tell the truth about prison. They glorify it rather than fucking letting you know exactly what it is and how boring and how obsolete it can become in your life and hold you back. So anyways, Lefty Gunplay saying this shit. Why did his narrative switch up? What made him change? If this conversation really took place, and I honestly, truthfully believe it did. I don't think Rico Too Smooth would be doing this for clout or to throw smut on who he considers Frank's name. I think he's of an understanding that he's doing his own thing just like Lefty's doing his own thing. But when you hear someone constantly disrespect, I'll never work with them vatos. Fuck them vatos. Fuck that whole side. I'm from this side. I'm from the southern side, not the other side. In the words of Swifty Blue, right? Someone who did all that and then double backed and all that, right? So when you hear Lefty say that, you're like, wow, okay, he's sticking to his beliefs, his hardcore beliefs and his blue side, right? His sureño side. That's cool. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That's it, right? But then you have a norteño going on a podcast saying, bro, I was chopping it up with this guy prior to all this fame and whatever he's doing now. This vato was trying to get at me. He wanted me to put him on. Do you believe it's the truth? I do. I could see it happening. I think before the fame, you know, before he was considered the #1 most watched gang member in the world, after C-Mac, of course, who was that, I believe this vato decided that if for no other reason, he was going to go ahead and start disrespecting the North because it was the relevant thing to do, is because what he believed his people down south wanted to see. It was more of an inspirational thing. You know, you can't function in prison side by side with North and South. And I understand there's a lot of people that don't want to do that. They'd rather be involved in guerra. I don't see who would want to be, who'd want to go through more struggle. You're already going through the prison struggle. But the end of hostilities has made it a lot more kosher and comfortable for people to be locked up, incarcerated, especially Mexicans, amongst each other, North and South, and function at a high level and an elite level, but also, man, with less worries, having to worry about, you know, if the opposition is going to get off on you, because the opposition is at a standstill. They're at a soft defensive stance. It's an end of hostilities. There is really no beef going on. And they've actually worked hand in hand, I'm sure, in business, as well as getting off on like the Bulldogs and the S&Y groups and the integrated yards. So they're doing their thing, man, quietly as it's kept. So if you function with Norteños and talk to them and build relationships and chill, how can you just get out straight to the disrespect of them? Same thing goes with the Norteño. No one is safe from this conversation. How can any one of them that's been locked up get out and be like, hey, we're smacking these dudes, we're doing this? Where was that energy at in prison when you had action all day, but you'd rather sell up? You know, it's just, you know, and I understand, well, that's what I have to do. You don't have to do shit, homie. You're a grown man. You do what you want to do. You know, you do like Norby's did and pull up. Now, you're not going to get everything that you want, but at the end of the day, you did pull up. You know, be your own man. And so anyways, do you believe that Lefty Gunplay did all that disrespect, but prior to the disrespect, he was actually on the phone with Rico Too Smooth trying to get on with a Norteño, a Northern California rapper? Rico says that, and I believe it to possibly be true. I've talked to a couple other people that said, hey, that was the case. You know, like I said, you'd be surprised on who does willings and dealings behind the scenes and what is in their best interest. You know, I think all this facade and this bullshit of, oh, we'll never work together and all that, let it go, man. You either are going to work together because on some man shit, or you're not. You're either going to accept, you know, accept that it just is what it is, or is what it isn't. You know, when it comes to Rico, I don't think he was trying to disrespect that man. He was just spilling the syrup. He was just keeping it real. Like, hey, this is what it is, bro. Because I feel he feels disrespected at this. Vatos not only picking out individuals. See, it's different if you're... Disrespect is never good. But if you're going at it with a particular individual, then you keep it right there in front of them. You don't start disrespecting all the raza for whatever reason, or disrespecting one side of the raza for whatever reason, because you're opening a can of worms you might not necessarily want to fucking hook with. That's real talk. Anyways, so that's pretty much what it is right now. Rico's saying that. There's a lot of people in the online and in lives that are saying, no, he would never do that. How do you know? Do you know him? There's people on the other side and people that are active gang members, rappers, actors, all kinds of shit that I've talked to constantly, man, that you would never think. And I don't say, oh, I never thought. You know, when I talk to them, they're respectful. I'm respectful. That's that. So you just never know. Before you could prejudge something or judge someone based on what they've said in the past, bro, sometimes what they say is straight bullshit, you know? And it could be the same thing with Rico Too Smoove. He could be just saying this to either get some clout off of Vato's name or smut him up because, hey, like, fuck it, homies, we're going to fucking make up this story. But as a Norteño gang member of the past, man, someone who functioned at that elite and high level, I could tell you right now, Norteños don't do that. They don't make up fucking stories. It is what it is, man. You know, all you have is your word and your integrity, your morals, your standards, and your respect. So I don't see him doing that, man. Just like I wouldn't see Lefty Gunplay making up stories. When he says he doesn't want to work with Norteños and he doesn't fuck with the other side and he'll never go there, he's telling the truth. Just like when he seen Swifty Blue at the Sacramento airport, he was looking around like, damn. He didn't sit there and say, oh, homie, I'm hard. I'm going to do what I do. He said, man, this shit, this motherfucker right here, there's a gang of motherfucking Norteños, you know? Keeping it real. I respect the real. And it is what it is for the fake. With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with the purpose. Get everything that you want coming. And remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive, the struggle, the struggle, the strive. Excuse yesterday, I was going to drop the Superwood episode right here. For those of you that haven't tapped into it, it's hilarious. So make sure you tap into it. I will be dropping it today. My bad, I got called into work yesterday. I had a mishap with my camera, my phone. Things happen in life, you know. But it's the stay humble and hustle hard and stay consistent that I'm going to continue to do to build my channels and my credibility within the YouTube genre. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, man. With that being said, let me know what you think. Leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you're not. Ding, notification bell so that way you're directed and everything's going to see all right, cuz. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I honestly and truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. You don't have to work with no one you don't want to, but I bet you're working with people you really don't want to that are your own people. Think about that. Let that sink in. The gun.